broken home. I gave you all the bricks that I own and know. I'm letting go. I'm breaking these walls down, breaking these walls down. If you want adventure, then fly to home. But if you wanna travel, then go alone. Yeah, what's the point in us if I never know? Yeah, if you're gonna leave, I'ma let you go. I'm tired of the pain. Go away. I'm tired of yesterday.
3, 2, 1.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Friday Night Live. Tonight we are talking about launches, how to launch your content so you can launch your challenge, your product, your next big thing, whatever it may be. Because if people don't know about it, what does it matter? You know, I always say, if you have the cure for cancer and no one knows it exists, does it matter? No. I argue you might as well not even have done it. So tonight, that's what we're talking about. I do not have Molly with me tonight. She had some technical difficulties, and Lefteris had some family things going on. So you're stuck with me, kids. So we are talking launch content. So for those of you guys that are watching, who has something coming up? You know, maybe you had a Black Friday sale, maybe you have a holiday sale coming up, New Year's sale, whatever it may be. Do you have something that is coming up that you need to get the word out? You need to get attention to that thing. Oh, we have Richard joining us here. Richard McCauley, everybody. Absolutely amazing human being trying to save the world one chronic pain at a time.
How you doing, Jim?
What's going on?
Interesting few weeks. I'll share with you at some later time, but not tonight.
All right. So do you have a launch coming up, Richard? Are you launching something into the ether soon?
That is coming up. It's now off to the end of January.
Okay. All right. So now here's a good. Why'd you put it off? So you made it sound like it was going to be sooner. Now it's not.
Yes. I don't want to go into the excitement that resulted in my putting this off. Just
okay, but like an event happened. Something happened.
It is a phenomenal event. I'm just happy to be here.
Okay, well, I am very glad that you're here then. If that's the case, if it's health-wise and so on, I'm glad you're here. Either way. But so now we're at the end of January. So now, what are you thinking of doing to get attention onto this new thing?
That is what I've got to put together.
All right, so you need some help.
Yes, mostly I just need to get I think before people accept help, they ought to put together as much of it as they can.
Okay.
But then sometimes that, for me, that delays things even further. So, yes, maybe getting some help to structure the thing.
Okay. So just a little organization.
Exactly.
All right. That we can do. Okay. Let's see. Team Loud. There we go. Boom. One moment. There we go. Cool. So what is your program? Tell me about your program.
Oh, the program is helping people understand a couple of things. One is that 90% of the disease processes going on from 40 on are living style related. And that activity, physical activity, is probably the most important. That drives things like the immune system, brain growth, or actually delaying any decline in brain activity. Mm-hmm. This cognitive decline that people see with aging is related more to inactivity, decreased activity and probably diet than anything else.
Okay. So you're essentially telling people, listen, you don't have to live like this. And you don't have to go through crazy surgeries. You don't have to lob off a limb. You don't have to do all these massive things that we're used to.
Exactly. The interesting thing is, and I'm working with a couple of people with debilitating stiffness and chronic pain.
Mm-hmm.
And even them, they can buy into the process mentally, but they have a real difficult time actually following through on a daily basis any kinds of changes in their physical activity. It is like
So
pushing
is it because they're in pain, or is it because
Right.
of habits?
more it's multifactorial. Part of it
Okay.
is habit, is just understanding that they need to do something about their physical activity on a daily basis. If
Okay.
you can't walk more than 20 yards, well, you can still do some things with your arms, but they almost have to get into a mindset of wanting to try out for the Olympics to get that kind of mindset so that they will do something every day. That's the big thing. But I think that's true even when it comes to business ventures of people getting into the internet business.
Mm-hmm.
They know,
Scary place.
but they don't develop the processes.
Yeah.
And I'm guilty of that myself.
Sure, we all are.
So this is human nature.
Very much. So now the question becomes, how do you contend with our natural human nature? So you're telling people you don't have to go through surgeries with chronic pain. You don't have to do all these other things that we're so used to hearing that that's the solution. There's an alternative, but they don't want to do the work. So how are you making that mental change?
Developing a specific sequence of processes that they go through to develop some buy-in because they're getting some benefit, but having a structured program so that they have to do less decision making. And I think this is similar to almost all programs that are getting people to go in a different direction. Even though they want to, they need, maybe it's like Doug Bolton says, you have action steps that you take, and then you get the results from them. This is, I think I can probably take his process, rearrange it towards a medical model, and then get people to follow through. Because unless they have some structure, they're not going to do it.
It makes sense. So if you have someone in front of you right now, let's say 45, they have spinal pain that they have had for, let's say, a decade from an injury, something like that. How do you approach them to take on this new life, this new lifestyle?
Well, first we have to break the pattern of their expecting that their doctor knows best, and what their doctor has done is the way they need to continue to proceed. So my job is to demonstrate to them that they don't need to go down this path that has been less than rewarding. And then get some buy-in with some simple kinds of procedures that they can see some benefit from very quickly, maybe a week-long program.
Okay. So in that program, you want to get them results fast.
Exactly.
Which makes sense, right? Because if we're not, we always talk about this in the show, right? We're always saying, don't make someone the first. Because traditionally speaking, evolution has taught us that if you're the first, you're getting knocked out. So it's kind of innately built in us that we need proof. Let me know it's safe to travel this road. So how do we do that in business? We show that other people have traveled that road successfully. So that's case studies, that's testimonials, that's any number of things that show that they're not the first. So in the case of Richard. So if he's wanting to help people to adopt this new lifestyle, what can he do to encourage people to want to enter his circle and in his world? He can show them that others have come before them and have reached some kind of a goal, some kind of a summit or a milestone that they also tangentially or exactly want. So that would be like my very first stop with you, is as many of these interviews, like what we're doing right now, with you and people that have had success using this process and adopting this lifestyle. Because as an example, right? So there's yo-yo diets, right? There's a million of them. They come out every year and they always have a book and they always have a shake. And then there's something that you have to do that's weird, right? But would people adopt that diet if they didn't see the before and after pics of other people? No, not at all. No way in hell.
So they can convince themselves that they too can do this.
You're exactly right. You are exactly right. So you have to let people know that they're not the first. Would a diet that comes out without before and after pictures, or people saying, I used to be real big and now I'm real small, would that diet have any kind of success? And I argue, no, it would be dead in the water. So now yours is not a diet, but we can use that same concept for what you're speaking to, because it is a mental shift, right? So you're asking people to change their lifestyle, much like a diet, right? Any diet that has a lasting effect, you have to change your lifestyle, the way you view food, the way you view exercise. That's a lifestyle change. So what you're saying is very, very similar. But what you're saying is you can overcome chronic pain or some injury by changing your lifestyle. And as a derivative or as an effect of that, as a result, they don't have to then go through dangerous surgeries, life-threatening surgeries, life-altering procedures that you're no longer the same person you were before after that procedure, or medications that can diminish your life or have a laundry list of side effects. So in a very similar way, you need to kind of copy what diets do. So the campaigns that they put out, and audience, help me out here. If you know of any, let us know. Help out Richard here of what they do in that process to get people pumped up and excited about their new diet, is the same thing that Richard will need to do for these people that are enduring this pain. So think to yourself, what was the last diet or workout thing that came about? I don't know what it may be. The last one I remember was P90X. That's the last one I remember. And what did they do? They did a huge campaign of people before and after. The main guy that runs P90X used to have, he was bad health and, he had all these health risks, and then he did P90X, and now he's this healthy, gargantuan, muscle-bound person who's loving life, and now he's rich and lifestyle is wonderful and da-da-da-da. And you too could be just like him as long as you do these, 7 CDs worth of workouts, right? So he did a very much an infomercial launch. And an infomercial launch is essentially every night for, I believe it's a 2-week cycle. He comes on and he talks about, for an hour, hour and a half, sometimes 2, depending on the product and what they paid, because they pay, about the benefits of this. So he tells his story. So you can tell your story. I know you have a story. And then you can tell success stories from your students or from people that have gone through your process. The next thing you can do is talk about how easy it is. Surprisingly easy. And once you get past this mental shift, it's actually really simple to get through. So now you're starting to overcome objections. It's very similar to what you would do as a webinar, but you're breaking it up and spacing it out over your content. But if I was to give you a directive and say, this is your recipe, Richard, for launching your content, for launching your thing in the end of January, I would say, how much time do you have left? Break it down by weeks. Let's say you have 5 weeks. Let's just do an estimate right now. You have 5 weeks until your launch, Richard. Okay. So your launch is going to be how to overcome chronic pain without life altering surgeries or whatever it may be. And so you start out with your story. Square one. Hi, I'm Richard. This is my story. Because you were in the military. You encountered a crash, I believe, a helicopter crash.
Yep. I was one of 5, the only one out of 5 that survived that one.
Incredible story. I've heard it numerous times, and every time it's very moving. Truly, it really is. And you were able to overcome your own pain. And you were a doctor. So for you to take this step and do more of, I guess, what would be considered, is it considered holistic? Is that the terminology for it?
Alternative, holistic.
Alternative, holistic, okay. Non-traditional.
Exactly.
But you were a traditional doctor. You had your own practice. So for a traditional doctor who went through all that you have to do to be able to practice, and then to say, listen, I'm going to set this aside. This isn't going to help me. I'm going to do this other thing. That's an incredible story. So I imagine at some point, you probably didn't feel the same way you do now about the holistic alternative approach. Is that appropriate to say?
Right, because I didn't realize there was another way.
Mm-hmm. But if someone told you, if Richard now was pitching Richard 20 years ago, what would 20 years ago Richard say?
I would say, let me try it.
Would you really?
Oh yeah. Was
there any time where you would have told yourself to go kick rocks?
No.
Not through any of your process, any of your history.
No. Once I found out this process, right, I says, this is it. It was ignorance, and now I take this concept and these techniques back to my MD physician friends, and they said, one says it shouldn't work. Oh, but it does. Other says, I've had a pulmonologist say I can take somebody, and this is not pain, but it's the same process I use to eliminate pain. I can improve somebody's breathing. Somebody who has got oxygens at, say, they're COPD, oxygens are best above 90. It gets down to 86, you're in trouble. I can take somebody from 86 and in 5 minutes change a good portion of them, can get them within 5 minutes up above 90 by hands-on. And I can teach them longer term how they can do this themselves.
That's incredible.
So that's truly separate from pain. Yeah.
Truly incredible. So now the thing is the stuff that you're teaching online obviously can't involve you with physical touch.
Exactly.
You can't be there with them. So you mentioned just now that I can, in 5 minutes, get you to this point, and then you can do it yourself. So is there kind of a hill that needs to be climbed before they can get to where they can do this themselves?
No, I can devise a program for them to follow.
Okay. Yeah. All right. It's good.
It's so not as dramatic. Not
right.
As dramatic. Yeah.
Right. But maybe if they see these dramatic results that they're doing on themselves, now maybe they want to seek you out and get it done personally by you, which is great. That's your next step, right? Is, hey, come see me and I'll show you even bigger results, right? So I think that's wonderful. And so now we have 5 weeks, right? So now we want to approach this in a little bit of a vein of launching a movie, because no one does marketing better than movies. No Correct. One. Period. So if you think back to the last big blockbuster film you saw, what was the last film that you saw that you got really excited about? Or semi-excited about?
I don't watch movies.
You don't watch any movies. Oh, you're killing me,
I-
Richard.
Yeah, it's been a long while,
All right. So,
but I
Well-
understand. I understand the
you
concept.
understand the concept because you see the market in the movies.
Exactly.
All right, fair enough. So the first thing they do is they do the logo reveal. Okay. So they're like, hey, what do you guys think? So in online world, what we'll do is we'll come up with like 5-6 different logos and we'll say, audience, what do you think of this? This is for this new thing I'm coming up with, and I would love to get your opinion. People love to give their opinion. They do not like to give their time. So don't ask for their time, ask for their opinion. So when you put it out to your audience, I would love to get your opinion on these logos I have for this new amazing thing. And then you're going to explain what that new amazing thing is. So this is the first touch that they have of your new program. And so now you're going to say at the end of the logo thing, I have selected this logo. The audience has decided. Join me tomorrow when I tell you why I'm creating this. So now that's your story. That's your personal story of how you came into this world and what brought you to the point you are now, right? And so now at the end of that, you're then going to say, give them future pacing. So the next, let's say the next, you give them a couple days in between, and in between you're posting little things, maybe written testimonials, maybe very short video testimonials. But that Friday, you're kind of building up to Friday. So now at Friday, you're going to bring on somebody and interview them live that has gone through your program or used these techniques in some capacity to then improve their life. If you can get them on live, that is the best, because then you let the audience ask them questions live and they can say, what was it like for you with this? What was it like with that? And so you're not going to get that with pre-recorded. You're going to get them to ask those questions, but then that person you're interviewing is gone. So you're going to answer on their behalf, and it's not as good, right? So that would be my recommendation. Build up to the live. And I think that would be probably the recipe for the entire 5 weeks, is each week you're building to the live on the Friday. Okay, so like Friday Night Live, you would have your version of Friday Night Live, that not necessarily a show, but the name of your program, and then success stories, something like that. Okay, so 5 weeks, 5 of those. And even the first week, you can even make it your own story. So if you're running low on people, put yourself in that Friday and make it alive. Today, I'm going to talk about, my story and how I came into the alternative medicine world, coming from having my own traditional medical practice. Stay tuned. That's a lot. That's a great hook. That's like, oh, wow. He used to be a practicing traditional doctor, and now he's given it all up and put himself fully into alternative medicine. That says a lot. That speaks volumes. Audience, correct me if I'm wrong, but that speaks volumes, right? He had a career as a traditional medical professional and no longer does any of that. It's all about this now. That says a lot. It's incredible. And he's been able to improve his own pain from the accident that he had from serving our country, right? So all amazing. That whole story is absolutely incredible. So you can even make that your first Friday live. And then your content that whole week is going to be little reveals and getting people excited for Friday. Okay. So you're going to be doing like little launches every week. You're launching a live video. So you're not selling the thing, you're selling the live video that talks about the thing. Does that make sense?
It does.
Okay, good. So keep that frame of mind. So that whole week is just getting butts and seats on Friday. That's it. That's your whole goal, is to fill the audience for your Friday live. Okay. So next Friday, you're going to interview somebody. The next Friday after that, you're going to interview somebody. The next Friday after that, you're going to interview somebody. Leading up to the final, like the launch weekend, that Friday, you can either have everyone that you've interviewed come on at the same time and do a panel if you don't have an extra person, or you save your best, like most surprising one for that last one. You know, you kind of hold back the gold for the end, right? And hopefully that'll push people over the fence that may be a little wavering or not quite sure about working with you. You know, they're still edgy about trusting, because I imagine these people have already tried a lot, right? And maybe some of them have given up. Is that appropriate to say?
They've been taught that they're broken and they need somebody else to fix them, as opposed to fixing themselves.
So these are likely to be tough to convince people, very untrusting. Is that appropriate to say?
I think so.
Okay. So then in all likelihood, you're going to have most of your signups be that last couple days is where it's all going to happen. Everything other than that's going to be crickets. You're going to have a lot of questions. A lot of people like, well, you know, this hoity-toity, like, alternative medicine, like, is that where like you hold a rock over my forehead or something like that? You know, and you're going to be like, no, like not all alternative medicine is like that. Let me show you an example. And maybe you do something on yourself, or maybe you bring in a friend or a colleague that can be an example. Or if you, where are you locally? What city?
Michigan, Northern Michigan.
Northern Michigan. Great.
Yeah.
So there's got to be someone that you know that has a reasonable amount of pain that you can bring in and say, today, I'm actually going to show you a couple, like 3 techniques. Super simple techniques. If you have these minimal things that can drastically improve the quality of your life. And I'm going to show you on Todd, you know, whoever they are. That would be really cool, because now it's not theoretical. It's actually practical. You're showing it done on somebody. And then you get a response out of them. You get the, oh, wow. Yeah, man, I don't feel really much of anything. And that's incredible. That's a great moment. And those are those moments that are going to form trust. So you want to stack as many of those moments as you can during your launch and have them compound on each other, right? It's like the snowball going down a hill. So the more room you can give that snowball to build, the bigger it will be. But what most of us do is we do, I'm launching this weekend and let's do this thing. And it's like you're letting the snowball roll down the hill and then you're stopping it when it's about that big, you know? And it's like, well, if you had just let it go another even 20 feet, the thing would be massive, you know? So, but that's what we traditionally do, is we stop it before it really gains momentum. So with you, you've got 5 solid weeks of promotion. Okay. So let's say during this next week, you do the logo drop. You do, what are some of the topics that you're going to be discussing?
Things like what the kinds of things to do to increase your ability to move. And as you increase the ability to move, you decrease your pain. So we could start off with the back, the things that they can do to find comfort where they are, and then increase their range of motion without pain. And give them some techniques on how to do that. Okay.
Trying to think of an interesting way to show that.
No, here's let me show you some of the magic.
Yeah, go ahead.
If you have your forearm that you're trying to bring forward,
mm-hmm.
If your brain got confused and told the muscles that keep the arm from going forward, that would extend your arm. If the brain kept that tight while you were trying to bring the arm forward, you wouldn't make much movement, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so what you do if you have pain on flexing your arm, let me go this way.
Yeah.
On flexing your arm, then what you do is you can actually hold this arm like this or with a band, and then you push against that on 1/20th of the strength that you're capable of, or even 1/30th, 1/50th. All you're doing is having the brain say, okay, I need to send some signals to these muscles back here that are tight, that are not letting me go this way. At the same time that I'm increasing the contraction force on the muscle coming this way. But it's all almost theoretical. It's almost virtual because you're not doing much, but you're just getting the brain to start sending that signal. You do that for 7 seconds, then you release for 7 seconds, and then you find that you actually can now increase your range of motion because the brain has told these muscles in the back to relax. So that's some of the magic.
Mm-hmm. So now, with that context, that's really interesting because, I mean, I myself, I don't have that pain, but I could understand if I had that pain, man, like that would be an incredible moment for me.
Have you ever awakened in the morning with a stiff neck?
Sure.
Okay. So if you can't turn your head to the left, then what you do is you just hold your hand up here like this and press for 7 seconds. Not 1/20th of your strength that you're capable of. 7 seconds. Release. The next 7 seconds, you can just spend visualizing that you're laying your head so you can touch your ear to your shoulder. Just visualize that. And after 7 seconds, you'll increase your range of motion. Do that again and again, and pretty soon you're now pain-free.
Super interesting. Shout out to Jay Lee and Sarah Smith. Thank you guys so much for joining us here live. Definitely contribute if you'd like. We have Richard on here, so I mean, if you guys have any chronic pain, please comment, and we'll give you the link to come on here. You can ask him directly. That's a pretty rare situation where you have someone with as much experience as him to come on and talk. So I'm really honored that you joined us tonight. I really appreciate it. And it's great to give an example of content launch with an actual person and an actual goal. So we talked about 5 weeks, right?
Correct.
First week is reveals. So the next thing you want to talk about in that first week is it's all mystery and leaks and reveals. Is the first.
Say that again.
Think about your first week is reveals.
Uh-huh.
Okay. So what reveals can we do? Maybe you show a picture of you at the height of your pain. Is there a picture of you where you kind of like smiling through pain, or some way to show like a difference between Richard now and Richard then? Do you have anything that you could show that might elicit that difference?
No, but I can actually create a before and after now.
You can create a before and
part
after
of my
now.
Well, in the next couple of weeks, I can do a before and after.
So help me out. What do you mean?
Well, based on this little event that happened in the back, I'm a little less mobile than I had been.
I see.
And my process is that I'm increasing my ability to move, and I could video that.
But that would require you to talk about the event.
Well, sure.
Are you open to that?
I can discuss it obliquely, or I just might throw it out there. Who knows?
I think that you'd have to be specific in this particular instance, because this is you. You're the foundation of this whole thing.
Well, it'd be a pretty exciting episode if I did that.
Then there you go.
All right.
There you go. So,
and actually, I can, over this next 4 weeks, I will increase my range of motion in all sorts.
Like showing, like, this is where I'm at right now. This is what happened. And Friday, I'm going to tell you about my whole story of how I got into this. But right now, this is what I'm living, and I'm going to show you the process of me overcoming this, because I will. and I will do it in X amount of time. And you can too. Follow along with me if you'd like.
Okay.
Because you're not revealing all the secrets or anything. And even that, even if you did reveal everything in your content, which I'm fully open to, I give away everything. Anything that we ever charge for is already in our content. We charge for implementation, organization, and making sure that we carry you across the finish line, right? So I don't mind giving away all the secrets, so to speak. So your content could be exactly that. So I'm going to show you how I'm going to overcome this. I'm going to tell you my personal story on Friday. And that whole week is just reveals. So you're revealing that you had this event happen. You're revealing your logo. You're revealing what's going to be in the program, right? It's reveal week. And then the next week is going to be where you start talking about, here, let me pull up my sheet here. You're going to gather assets. Okay. You're going to gather as many assets together as you can. Digital images of you, any kind of testimonials you have. And the reason is because imagine you're going to build a house and you have no tools. You have the knowledge, but you just showed up to a job site. You have 0 tools. What do you got to do? You got to leave. You got to go get the tools.
Sure.
So it's a waste of time. So during this second week, you're gathering assets to have in your toolbox, ready to use when you need them, right? And then you're also going to be starting to reach out to people. Let them know in groups and things like that that you want to do interviews on that last week. So you're starting to get those planned, and you want to pack in as many interviews in that last week as possible. Why? Think of a movie. When a movie comes out, what's that last week look like?
Sure.
Those actors and actresses are on every damn show. It's hard to avoid them. They're everywhere. It's on purpose. It's very much on purpose. So use that for your business. Get on as many shows talking about your message, mission, and movement to anyone that'll listen. That is targeted, mind you, not just anybody, but people that have either your audience or tangential audiences to the ones that you need, or have loved ones that are your audience or whatever it may be. But in some way, they touch your audience, right? So now you want to find all those groups you can, all those shows, podcasts, everything you can muster, and you will literally jam that last week. Like ideally, you would do 8 to 9 hours straight of interviews every single day through Friday.
Holy shit.
That's ideal. Like that is the perfect scenario. If you're doing that, you are doing it right. Take, for instance, Catherine Jones. She absolutely killed this. She did within, I think it was 3 days, 80 interviews. But she also had one of the biggest launches at the time. Because of that, as a direct result, a derivative of that, she had a massive, massive launch. I believe it was $1 million launch.
It was a what?
$1 million launch.
Well,
which is, I mean, incredibly impressive. So keep that in mind. When you think to yourself, whoa, that's a lot. It's like, well, what is your view of success? Scale accordingly.
sure.
Right?
Hunt mice or hunt elephants?
Ah, there you go. Exactly. Perfect. So if you're wanting a massive launch, don't be showing up with that, the mice approach.
Sure.
You got to scale accordingly. So if you're talking about you want to have a 6-figure launch and you're not doing any interviews in that week leading up to your launch, I don't know what you're talking about. It shouldn't even be a discussion. If people have a hard time avoiding you, that's the way you're going to have people know about you, right? We have to cut through the noise, right? Nothing but noise berating us every single day. Sales messages, garbage, news, just messages upon messages are hitting us all the time. And we think that if someone shows up with their meme that's like summit coming this Friday, that's going to cut through the noise. No one cares. Next. I mean, you probably don't even get them to slow down. They're just scrolling, you know? I mean, so you kind of got to shake people a little bit. Ethically and the value add, always. But you kind of do. You have to let people know, like, I exist, I can help you, and I'm the person for the job. Here's why. Right? And you have to do it in a way that infuses a little bit of entertainment. It has to infuse a lot of value. And it has to be in a way that is going to look semi-different or stand out. Because you got people that are just scrolling, man. They're just fucking ripping through. And you have to slow them down. So keep that in mind, right? So we got to stand out. How can we stand out being Richard McCauley in a timeline? You tell me. How do you stand out?
Origin story.
Okay.
And more than one. Drastic benefits demonstrated by your testimonials. Okay. Maybe unusual viewpoints of unusual subject matters for your for the methods to work on. Say getting somebody off of a walker would be one.
That's tremendous.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, that's absolutely tremendous. So if you can show stuff like that, even short clips to where it's just the moment of them being like standing, and then you call it, end it, go to black screen and be like, tune in this Friday. Like little stuff like that's great teasers.
Yeah.
Because that's the moment, right? And it's super intriguing, and it's going to let people be like, oh my God, I got to see this. So think of it that way too. It's an open loop. Oh my God, that person stood. They were wheelchair bound. That's amazing. And then at the end, you're like, tune in Friday to find out how. And then you do an interview with that person that's like, yeah, I was wheelchair ridden for X amount of time. And with Richard's assistance, I can now do ABC that I couldn't do before. Amazing content. Amazing content. So now that's an example of teasing the Friday, right? Mm-hmm. So all week you're teasing what's coming Friday. Tune in Friday. And maybe the first video is of this person being like, yeah, I was in a rough place. I couldn't move much. I was really depressed and XYZ. And I was just XYZ, ABC. This is how I felt about that. This is what was happening, and this is how I felt. And when I met Richard, everything changed. And show up Friday to find out more. It's a great teaser.
Powerful stuff.
Another teaser would be of you maybe talking about when you first met this individual, your perspective. So, you shift perspectives, right? So now we heard from him. Now I want to hear from you. When I met him, he was this, and this. And I could tell that he felt this, and this. And I could relate to him. And I knew immediately that I could help him. Black screen. Check it out Friday. Find out more. So it's really just the same message, but you're looking at it from as many different angles as possible. And that's your teasers. You don't give away the whole thing because you want to intrigue, right? You want to incite curiosity. Curiosity forms action. Genuine curiosity. So if you reveal the whole thing and you're like, oh, I helped him with my alternative medicine approach, and now he's great. People would be like, oh, okay, I don't have to watch anything else. I pretty much got it.
Sure.
You know, I mean, I'm going to Google alternative medicine tonight, not from Richard. You know, I mean, it doesn't do you any service. You have to have a little bit of showmanship. So think of like a Netflix series and stuff, right? Why do we keep watching? Because that open loop at the end. Something intriguing, something is unfinished, something has started and they cut it off. An open loop. Always be creating open loops, because then mentally, us as the audience, we go, oh, I want to know what happens. Where's the rest of it? And you're like, oh, Friday. You're like, oh, all right, I got to watch this on Friday. But if you just lay it all out there, then it's like, all right, well, cool.
They
That's
got it.
Yeah, got it. Moving on. Keep scrolling. You know? So infuse a little showmanship into your launch, right? So for you, every week, the first week is reveal week. Your last week is interview week, press week, right? You want people to have a hard time avoiding you. You want to be everywhere you can be, right? And if you can have JV partners at that time, also blasting out there, like if you want to overcome chronic pain without surgeries and life-altering surgeries, then tune in this Friday to Richard. And they're blasting that out all week for you. And maybe you give them a kickback because that's an affiliate relationship. I think that's awesome.
Yep.
They get something out of it. You get more of an audience, right? Who's ready to check out your stuff. I think that's a beautiful thing. So now we've got the bookends completed, right? So now what goes in the middle? So in the middle, my recommendation, let me pull up my document again here. There we go. So in the middle, there we go. So you can do, these are some examples of things you can do in the middle. So first, rinse and repeat week 1, right? More reveals, more personal stories. So now each week can be an isolated week for one individual. So in the case we were just speaking, week 2 could be this gentleman that was able to stand after being wheelchair bound. So that whole week leading up to that Friday is teasing that Friday where you interview this gentleman. Okay. So all your content that week is teasing the interview. So you can just rinse and repeat that. Each week is a different individual story. And you're teasing all week the interview with that individual. And at the end of every piece of content, it's coming out this Friday or next Friday or whatever your date is, January 15th, let's say. January 15th, I'm going to be revealing all of the secrets on this event. Sign up here. And that's like after everything that you put out has to be that. You're just hammering it home. Every single one. January 15th, sign up here. Here's the link. Every single one that goes out, you got to be just hammering that link. Okay. But you can do leaked footage is a method used by films to where you have a short period of time where early people can access whatever your program is, right? So ClickFunnels has used this, right? So the ClickFunnels 2.0, they sent out ClickFunnels 2.0 to a mess of people, a whole bunch of people that are really high up in ClickFunnels, right? The 2 Comma Club, 10 Comma, whatever, all the things. And they said, you can't show it, but I want to see your reaction to it. Horror films use this a lot too, because it's hard to scare people nowadays, right? It's really hard to get a jump scare still or a legitimate scare out of people with a movie anymore. So when you see an audience go, oh, it's like, oh man, this one might actually be good. The audience really freaked out. That was really cool. I want to go see that. Because they know that horror film fans, they want that scare. But we've watched so much crap or so much of it, you get desensitized. So when we see a real reaction like that, we get excited. So the same thing with ClickFunnels. When people were like, the reaction, they're like, oh my God, this is so cool. I can't believe they finally did this. This is amazing. I've been waiting for this for so long. Russell, you're killing it. So you're not seeing ClickFunnels 2.0. You're not seeing the software. You're seeing me interact with it. So let's say maybe you send out a couple videos to a select group of people. You can even have a contest. Maybe week 3 is a contest. Enter to win a one-on-one with me where I'm going to show you personally and personalize to you how to overcome your chronic pain. And so now, do you show that interview? I wouldn't show the interview. I would show after the interview a reaction video to the session. So that would be a leaked post, right? And now you're sharing that everywhere. So let's say this person, Bob, is the winner of your contest. Bob has neck chronic pain, right? He won and he gets this one-on-one with you. And now afterwards, it's a video of just him. And he's going to be like, I just had the most insane meeting with Richard McCauley. I have had neck pain for X amount of time. I never thought that it would be able to be pain-free again. And after an hour with Richard, I have no pain. This guy knows what he's talking about. You better get your butt there on January 15th. Impactful, right?
Yeah.
So to get that content, to get that end result, what do we have to do? Maybe a contest of let me know your chronic pain, submit a video about what you're going through right now. So engagement, right? Getting some engagement, getting some user-generated content for free. And then in return, I'll draw a winner. And one of you, I will literally teach you how to remove your pain. It's incredible. And so it's like try before you buy, right?
Sure.
And then the best part is the person that tried before they bought now has a result and they share that result with everybody else that's on the fence and doesn't trust you yet. Because you've already expressed that these people that are having chronic pain are jaded, not very easy to trust. So you're going to need to put out a good amount of stuff to get them to trust you. To say, oh, I think Richard's legit. So give it to him, right? The next one is teaser footage. So really the similar thing to leaked footage. Teaser footage is more like in the vein of movies. Leaked footage is like Spider-Man, right? There was 3 Spider-Man in the last movie. Sorry, if you haven't watched it by now, that's on you. But there was 3 Spider-Man in the last movie. And there was some leaked footage of one of the Spider-Man that people weren't used to in a movie set. And people were like, oh, it's Photoshopped. It's this, it's that. It's just to start conversation. It doesn't matter if it's good, it's bad. People hate it. They love it, whatever. It stimulates conversation. It gets the name of the movie getting talked about and trending. That's all they want. You could hate it. Great. Talk about it. As long as you're talking, no press is bad press is kind of the way that goes, the teaser footage or the leaked footage. Leaked footage means that traditionally speaking, it would be to where a staff member pulled something, stole a piece of footage and released it to the media. That was what it used to be. But now movies use it to their benefit in their promotion cycle. They release it and they call it leaked footage because they know that it gets a rise out of people. So we can use that in our programs, right? So maybe leaked footage would be like, it's just a camera down, but you hear Russell Brunson's voice saying how excited he is to be a part of this. You didn't show him, but people know that voice. So it's like, well, that could be anything. He could be talking about a different program. And it's like, No, man, I think they're talking about Richard's thing. And so now it doesn't matter if it's good or bad. They're talking about it, which is good because now it's a topic, right? So now once it's noisy, all you have to do is direct the noise. But if it's not noisy, it doesn't matter. No one cares, right? So you want to start generating some buzz, some noise. So leaked footage and teaser footage are fantastic for that. Curiosity announcements. So I'm trying to think of a curiosity announcement for you, but essentially it's like, are you doing something innovative or have a big name as a partner or trainer for your offering? Tease it. But you would generate curiosity. So as an example, like if we're using Russell again, you would maybe show like a super zoomed in picture of like Russell's eyeball. And then next week you show it a little panned out. And the next week a little panned out. And then finally it's like, oh, it's Russell. But people are going to start being like, oh, it's Steve Larson. Oh, it's Tony. It's this, it's that. It's Dean Graziosi. They're going to guess, but they're talking. You're stimulating conversation. Okay. Interviews and appearances. We already covered this. That's your last week. You need to literally be on every single show you can get your hands on. Podcast, live shows, pre-recorded. I don't care. Get on as many as you can. Okay. Early reviews. So the example, your contest winner is an early review. So now you release that into the ether and it's Bob saying, oh my God, my neck feels amazing. I haven't felt like this since I was a teenager. Go check out Richard's thing on January 15th. That's exactly what that would fill, right? Rumor mill. I don't think yours really would do so much of the rumor mill, but the rumor mill is to where like you kind of insert rumors into the ether, but it's you doing it. So like in movies, it's like there's a rumor that the director walked out and has just said, screw this, I'm out. Or that an actor and an actress are arguing. It's just noise. So the rumor mill is another one. You can use that for products and stuff like that, to where it's like, oh, it's rumored that they actually got this person on. And then people are like, no way that person would do that. Are you kidding me? It's like, no, I'm pretty sure. Like I heard from Bob, who heard from Tina, who heard from Steve, that he's going to be on there. So it's the rumor mill. Okay. Let's see. So now we're talking about, so that's your meat, right? That's the in-between. Is you're building up to your Friday, all about one person. And you can also inject a contest. You can inject early reviews. You can inject other cool little stories that you're telling. But all along, you're building up to each Friday. You're kind of training them to get used to getting excited for Friday. So there's excitement around Friday because there's going to be a new cool story that even if you don't have chronic pain, oh my God, that was a great story. So that's awesome. And then the other thing is that you're building up to eventually what will be the Friday of your launch. So then they're going to show up, right? Because it's already been exciting for 4 weeks. I'm excited to see what the 5th week is. And oh my God, he's been everywhere. Have you noticed that like everywhere you turn, there's Richard? It's crazy. He was on this show, that show, and those are just the ones I saw. And I heard he was on this one, this one, this one, this one, and this one, just like within 48 hours. That's crazy. They're talking about you. You're creating noise, directed noise. Okay. And then meanwhile, you have all your content coming out that's building to your Friday. So that last week should be like your biggest story. Like maybe it's the wheelchair guy, right? Because that's an incredible story. Having someone that's wheelchair ridden that can now walk. I mean, pretty much every religion considers that a miracle. So if that's your biggest story, that's your last week. So your last week is talking with that person on Friday, and that's also your launch. Because that's going to be the most exciting story, right? And at the end of that, you and this person are going to launch this thing. So let's say it's you and Bob, who used to be in a wheelchair. He tells his story, and at the end, you're like, and today is our big launch. Right now, go to this link. You can actually get in right now, and I'm going to show you all the techniques that you can use to overcome your chronic pain without life-threatening or altering surgeries or pills and products that are only going to shorten your life and give you a laundry list of problems that you have to take other medications for. It doesn't have to be that way. I will show you how. Click the link right now. And then you got Bob in the background on the side, just like me, being like, seriously, this program is insane. Richard knows his shit. Richard can help you. And then you end right there. You know, maybe you have an open Q&A with them and Bob, because they're going to have maybe some leftover questions. Because at the end of a webinar, what do? They always have open Q&A because they want to overcome objections. So this is when you're going to hear all the objections come in. I'm too fat. I'm skinny. I'm too old. I'm too young. I'm too this. I'm too that. I'm not enough this. I don't have enough of that. You're going to hear all the objections.
And that's meat.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't have enough time. I don't have a support of this. I don't have a support of that. I don't have enough money. I don't have this. I don't have, and you know, vehicle, external, internal. They're going to come up with those 3 types of objections, and they're just going to fire them at you. Or they're not going to tell you because they feel self-conscious, and they're going to bail, which is fine. That's fine too. But the ones that remain are genuinely interested. So those are the people that you want to dig in with and be like, hey, what are you thinking? And if they're crickets, you start feeding them objections. If you say, hey, do you guys have any questions for myself or Bob? And it's just like dial tone, but there's still people on the call. You start feeding them objections. So you say, you may be thinking, you may be feeling, and then fill in the gap. So you should know essentially by now or through this process what common objections are to joining your program. So like, give me an example. What's an objection to joining your program?
It's going to cause too much pain.
Okay, perfect. So this is how you would phrase that. Hey, I know you may be thinking to yourself, I've been in pain for so long, and I feel like this is just going to put me in more pain because you're going to make me do something that my body doesn't want to do. Well, I'm here to tell you, fill in the blank, Richard, go ahead.
Sure. That the reason you can't move, the reason you have pain when you move is that your body's telling you that you've got to do something different. You've got to pay attention to what's going on. We'll find out what that is, and then we'll help you take care of that problem so that you can increase your range of motion without the pain. At first, it might be an inch or 2. And then over time, your body's going to realize that you're not going to hurt yourself, so your body will give you permission to move more.
Mm-hmm. And the coolest thing about this is you got Bob on too. And Bob's like, I can personally attest to that. Like when Richard told me that I was going to stand, I told him he was out of his effing mind. And as we progressed, he made sure he stayed within my pain threshold of what I was comfortable with. And look at me now. I can stand. So like he's going to be there to support and back you up with real life example, right? That's not you, because you're the one selling the thing. So people automatically are kind of like, you have ulterior motives. You want my money. But you got Bob on, who's not making any money. He's just there because he believes in you. That goes a long way. So now you're going to have a list of these objections ready to rip. And you might even have someone that doesn't say a word to you, but all of a sudden they drop off the call and you have a sale that just goes through. Because they heard what they needed to hear, to make a purchase, but they didn't want to talk about it. And you'll see that. You'll see one dropped off, and you look over at your Stripe account, sale. It's like, oh, I answered their objection. Cool. Or you'll have someone that maybe wants to do tit for tat with you, right? So you give an objection and they go, well, what about this special instance? Oh, yeah. I'm different. You can't solve my thing. I'm a unicorn.
Yes, but.
Yes, but. Exactly. So yes, very, very well handled. Yes, but, or yes, and. I like to do yes, and, because yes, but almost says the next thing you're going to say is completely counterintuitive and cancels out the first thing you said. So like, like if someone says, hey, Jim, you're handsome, but like whatever they say next is going to cancel out the last thing they just said. Right, so you say yes, and.
What I'm saying is that the person who's trying to talk themselves out of it will do the yes, but.
Okay, so you're saying that they're going to say that to themselves.
Yes, yeah.
There you go. Exactly right. So you're going to have a list of these because there may be dial tone. You need to fill that space because they're still there. That means they haven't heard something that they're waiting to hear, but they're interested. You have them on the line, and they're like, if you say the right thing, I will buy. So they're just waiting. So maybe they don't message you. You said tough to trust. So maybe they're tough to communicate too, but they're there. So now you have to try and buckshot hit their objection, which you can do because there's really only 3 types: external, internal, vehicle. Exactly. So you want to hit as many of those as you can during that Q&A period. Initially answer any questions they have. And then once it kind of tones down or you get that dial tone,
then start
you fill that space with the objections you've already written down and you already have pre-recorded answers for. And then you end after that. Hey, everybody, thank you so much for joining me here. I really, truly appreciate you. It has been absolutely amazing getting to know you. And I respect your time. I know that you can do anything with your time and that you spend it here with me today is really important to me. Click the link and I will see you on the inside. If you guys have any other questions or anything like that, leave them in the comments and I'll make sure that me and my team address them. Thank you so much. And best, whatever, if you have a tagline or something you'd like to say at the end of your stuff, that's where you would say it. Bob kind of waves and is like, I can walk again. And you call it a day. That's it. Yep. End it. Yeah, end it. So now here's the thing that people forget is post-launch. There's more. There's more to do. So after the launch, when people are starting to make purchases, like at the end, like when you're about to go into Q&A, what you'll want to do is preferably you have a VA who's managing the comments. So you don't have to worry about that as much, right? So I would recommend that if you can help it. At least hire a VA for that day. So that way, the VA can say, all right, your purchase came through. They're messaging them directly. Go into the live and post that you are in. So now they're posting that they're in, and it starts to create what's called mob mentality. So there was a thing that used to be done. It's no longer done because it's unethical. But we can model it in a way that is ethical. And what used to be done is they used to call them plants. So when you would do a big stage presentation, they would plant like 5 or 6 people and sometimes upward of 12 to 15 sporadically through the audience that once they say, go to the back of the room and now you can buy this amazing thing, they would get up and they would do a table rush. And people seeing other people getting up and rushing like that made them want to be a part of it. It's a mob mentality. So sometimes that's enough to push people over. And they're called plants. They don't do it anymore. It's unethical. It's fake. It's not real. So what we're talking about is real. So if someone makes a purchase, you have them come back onto the very live you're creating to sell the thing. and they say, I'm in, or that you say, I'm in, hashtag pain-free. So now people start to see, I'm in, pain-free, pain-free, pain-free. They're like, oh, damn. Like, this is taking off. I'm in. Like, sometimes that could be enough to just nudge them over the fence. So now it's not made up. It's not fake. This is real purchases of people coming in now saying, I purchased, I'm in. The only difference is, instead of just purchasing and being gone, they're now assisting you to sell everybody else.
Excellent idea.
Okay. So, gather as much feedback and testimonials through your trainings. So, like in the program, get as much as you can, because that's going to help you to sell the next one when you run this again. Excuse me. So you want to make a priority out of getting feedback at every turn. So if you get everyone on a Zoom call, which is pretty traditional for trainings, right? You get them all on a Zoom and they ask their questions, or it's just you and you're streaming into a group, one to many. But you want to get as much feedback as possible. So if you're on a Zoom call, you wait to the end of the call and you say, hey, I would love this. I even incentivize it by giving you this extra little thing. Maybe it's a checklist of like how to maintain pain or something like that. You know, the daily pain checklist of how you can make sure that you live a mostly pain-free day, or, you know, how to overcome pain if you're in it, something like that. But you tell them, listen, if you stay to the end of the call and you just give me 30 seconds and tell me what you thought about today's training, I'll give you this thing. And it's good or bad. I don't care what it is, just to have the feedback. And I'll give you this thing. And I'll make sure that my VA gets that to you. So now you're incentivizing them. And you say, listen, good or bad. If you hated it, I want to know. You know, so be prepared to get the downside too. But generally speaking, you don't. But they may say, hey, I wish you talked more about this. That's gold. That's them saying, I paid for this, but I would have probably paid more if you included this other thing. That's gold, right? So you want all that too. So when you're asking the question to them, 30 seconds for you at the end, you're going to say, what did you come in today's training feeling like? What did you end today's training feeling like? Is there anything that was covered that you felt could have been covered differently or more? And just let them go. They'll always go over 30 seconds, always. Generally about 1 minute to 3 minutes a piece. But you only ask for 30 seconds of their time, and they always go over. Let's see. And ask for opinions. Don't ask for time, ask for opinions. Let's see. Oh, and the other thing is don't forget to close your cart. You have to close it. Do not keep it wide open. You have to close it down. Because otherwise there's no urgency. It's like, well, yeah, I'll get it tomorrow. Maybe. But then life happens. Baby starts crying. You know, you got to go get groceries. This happened. Oh, crappy day at work. You know, I got in an argument. And immediately, bye, Richard. Out of sight, out of mind. And that's why they say, if you buy right now, we'll incentivize you. Because they know that the chances of you purchasing thereafter plummets by at least 80%. Plummets. It is a very rare case that someone actually purchases, given the allotted time, after that situation, or like a webinar or something like that. Especially if you leave the cart just open. Because then it's like, well, I got time. But then the deadline comes and goes because there's no urgency anymore. They're not excited anymore. It's not a priority. And now you can say, I don't need it that much. So that's why scarcity and urgency, real, genuine scarcity and urgency is also really important. And that's it. And just don't forget a little showmanship. That's all. You know, remember to open loops. So don't just say, Bob was in the wheelchair and now he can walk. I used alternative medicine to help him out. check it out on Friday. It's like, no, I got it. That's it. I don't need to know anymore. I feel like I got a pretty good wrap around this. Okay. Bye, Richard. There's no need for me to investigate this any further. I've had all my answers pretty much, all my questions answered. So instead, show him to where he's just kind of like unhappy or something, and then show him like making the effort to stand, and you cut it. See how Bob went from crippled to a wheelchair to walking and holding his daughter. Check it out this Friday, 6 o'clock. Like, that's a huge difference. Little showmanship, that's all. Just a little showmanship. Okay? That's it. You have any questions, Richard?
Whoa.
We covered a lot of ground.
I will have many questions. We covered a lot of ground. This is solid.
But
solid
it's
stuff.
recorded, and it's on my profile. It's in the group, and it's also on our Visibility Hacking YouTube page.
Fantastic.
Yeah. So you got lots of opportunities to see
Jim,
this again.
You are the best.
I appreciate you, Richard. And thank you so much for joining us. I'm so glad we got to do a specific example of the content launch.
Thank you very much. Take
Awesome.
care, my friend.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you guys so much for joining us. I love that you spent your time here. The time is the only thing you can't get back. It's the most valuable resource we have, and I love that you spent it here with us. So we will see you on the next Friday Night Live when we talk more about how to get attention onto your message, your mission, and your movement in an ever so noisy marketplace. We will see you on the next one.